You good, yeah?
Mr. Williams.
Okay. Hey. So, guys, as you can see, I don't know how well you could have seen, but on my Apple CarPlay, just over there, we have somebody named Morpheus. So Morpheus, first and foremost, is defying coding. So those of you that can put 2 and 2 together will know exactly who that is. But we'll get onto Morpheus in just a second, because right now, as you can see, we're not in our normal mode. We're actually using the GoPro on my head, which is quite embarrassing, but the things I go through for you guys, and this is a new thing that's going to come to the channel. So we're still going to have regular content of the M240 and any other cars that we have and any other builds that we get involved with, but it's something I want to do every now and then, or if I can every other week, just to break the content up a bit. So it's going to be called the M240 DriveCast. We're going to be having a podcast while I'm driving. I have got quite a bit of inspiration from Seen Through Glass, who obviously started out his channel like this, and looking at how Tony Gravelwood and Seen Through Glass do a podcast. I thought, let's combine the two rather, and the only person I could think of had to be Defying Coding. So yes, Defying Coding, how you doing, my brother?
Not too bad, thank you, Tim. Obviously, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure as always. I noticed you call me Morpheus. Not many people know my code name. Obviously, I don't tend to offer out blue and red pills unless I've got my leather jacket on. But obviously, that tends to be accompanied with a laptop usually. So
100%. So yeah, just to let you guys know, obviously we'll leave a link in the description. But this in particular DriveCast has been sponsored by Defying Coding himself. So a big shout out to him. Anybody that has a BMW and anything from CarPlay to your retrofits to coding, he's your man. Anything BMW wise that you need, make sure you hit him up and he will sort you out. But yeah, today's topic and the opener of today's DriveCast is going to be 2021 as a review, and we'll also, before we close, talk about like a little hint about what's to come in 2022. So 2021, in terms of the top 2 things, I'll just go off number 1. It's got to be working with Audi UK Press, and those of you that have watched the channel would know that I am working with Audi UK Press, so I go to a few press events where I can, and I also get loan cars from them and obviously do content, which I hope you guys enjoy. And it's something for me that going forward, I said I didn't want to just be known as Mr. Junior BMW. I'm not Mr. BMW, I class that as Joe Achilles. Mr. Junior BMW, I didn't want it to just be like M3s, M4s, M140s. I wanted to break it up a bit, and it hasn't had the best, you know what I mean? It hasn't had the best, what word am I looking for here, Carl? Help me out. It hasn't had the best recognition, if that's even the right word. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's something that I feel I had to do, because it was going to be, other than that, you could just do your building, say, oh, if you want to call it a building, in 6 months. So it's nice to get something to break up the content. And also going forward, I'm trying to get a new audience, but it's a steady process. But what do you think anyway?
I mean, for me, I think that has to be one of your biggest moments, and probably one of those memorable moments from obviously 2021. You introduced a new vehicle to your channel, a new brand, obviously doing some reviews with different car brands, but you know, Audi being the main competitor of BMW. I think it's a great insight. You know, you gave people a lot of information as to how the new cars are, how they react, what it's like to have a brand new car, and obviously a different brand than Audi. So yeah, I think it was great. Obviously, I particularly loved the content you did on the e-cars as well. And,
yeah.
You know, it definitely looked like you had a way of a time. And
it was something different. It 100% was, yeah.
Without being biased as well, you know, we're both big BMW heads. I think, you know, it's inevitable. We both love cars. So inevitably you are gonna, you know, show different brands and work with different brands, and but we just gotta hope we can bring the audience with us, really. This
is it, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's not kind of pigeonholing myself into a position to say I won't have any other cars on the channel, because I have noticed as soon as I bring a non-BMW car on the channel, it doesn't do so well. Like occasionally, like it might do well, but it's been very BMW focused, and I think my audience is more interested in the hatchbacks and the more like achievable cars, like for certain age groups. So for me, it is a bit like hit and miss, but I'm hoping 2022 I can be more consistent with the BMW content, and every now and then sprinkle some other brands on there just to get a taste of what the audience actually wants, and then just go from there. But in terms of you anyway, 2021, what's one thing that really was like a good milestone or a big achievement for you?
I think for me, it had to have been experience and obviously some of the services we offer. So coming to the Bedford track day with you and you know, some other fellow people we're friends with, it was amazing to be able to experience some of the different coding options we offer, how your car performed, it being mapped obviously,
100%.
XHP and the DCT, the different flashes with the GTS/CS, you know, composed with your driving styles. I mean, it was amazing. And obviously our good friend Mr. Paul Butterfield, I have to thank
Yes.
you for royally writing me off that day. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say when I got out of the car, I didn't know where I was. I couldn't stand up. My legs felt like jelly, and I felt like I'd been on a roller coaster for about 500 times.
Yeah, but, that was epic.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That was epic. And I think, yeah, it speaks testaments. I think a lot of people sell products that they don't really use themselves, but it's, at the end of the day, you've done CS, you've done the GTS flashes on the M2, and we tested them out on the road, and then for you to actually sit in the car on a test day, on a track day, and hear live feedback, because we didn't just go GTS all day, we switched between the two, and then we settled down that I said I prefer GTS everything. That's the diff, the MDM, the steering, and everything in GTS on track. But day to day, I think CS was more road friendly because it still allowed a bit of play. So I think doing that, it's different, because I think a lot of customers and a lot of people look at you and they think, yeah, this boy, he sells what he knows, as opposed to selling something that you don't know nothing about. And I think that's why you're really up there in terms of being one of the best, if not the best in the game. Secondly, for me, we'll just go back and forth here. It would definitely be on track. I just wanted to just make sure I went off straight away off what you just said. Taking the M2 out on track, because that is what I bought it for. I didn't buy it to do, I don't know, little here, like drives here and there. It was literally like, I want to experience what an M2 can do on track, because the M140, albeit exactly the same as what I've got now, it was great, but it didn't give me the confidence on track. So I had to get that M2 to get that taste of what a real M car can feel like, for me then to go into another car and be like, okay, this is what I need to build it as. Because I told you previously, like, the amount of negative press, it's been more positive than negative, but the amount of negative press I've had towards this M240 has been unreal. I had a comment, somebody just didn't even say anything, they just literally put 2 words, stupid boy. And I was like, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Like, mate, what is the hate? And I think that's that's a DriveCast video in its own of why is there so much hate towards the M lights. And I saw another comment, so it's saying these shouldn't even be called M cars, they should just be called a 140 or a 240. Like, BMW called it an M140, mate, not me. So it's just crazy. Like, go on, mate, you're on a roundabout. Like, I'm not really gonna hit you, am I? It's kind of crazy, just the amount of bad press that comes towards it. Like, what, from driving an M140 yourself to owning an X3M, do you look down your nose now at people in M lights? Or?
not at all. I mean, for me, it was where I built obviously the foundation of my client base.
Sure.
And I think everyone has to earn their stripes. You know, some people, you know, start off in even, you know, less powered cars. So there is this obviously big hate of, you know, saying once you go to a full fat M car, you shouldn't go back. But yeah, I think people enjoy the practicality of M lights, right? Because you get an M light in all different forms. You get SUV, you get sedan, you get coupe. So you've got a lot of variety. Obviously, you get the same in M cars, but you've got to pay M car tax, M car price. And I think it's about affordability and being able to relate to people too.
100%.
I mean, most people, you know, you get your odd, you know, family goer, your young person, your, you know, your mad dad who might just buy a 140 and, you know, want to modify it. So I think for me that, like you said, they're very achievable cars for one. And two, I think there's Karens everywhere, unfortunately. There's Karens in the coding world, there's Karens in the BMW world. You can't get away from it. But, you know, you've done it, you've experienced it, you know what it's like, you've scratched that itch, and so have I. And, you know, I wouldn't be afraid to get a lesser car. You know, it wouldn't bother me to step down to get like an M40D or an M50D or, you know, a non-M car. You know, like you said, once you've done it, you now know what it's like. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
Exactly. So this is it. Like even driving the M2, like, it was like, okay, sure, I know it's not the M comp or anything, but like I've always said, it's nice just to experience it, and there's loads of them. And I know probably in 2050 there's going to be no petrol cars allowed or whatever, but it was just like a checkbox for me. And I've said this time and time again, I wanted to experience handling, then I wanted to get out of it. I was driving it, I think, close to 2 or 3 times a month, and I'm not that guy. I want to daily drive a car, and I just thought, you know what, if I'm going to go out on this full club sport build, let me at least have something that I can daily, something that I'm not gonna have to spend $4 to get it up to speed, and then at least I can have something that I know my audience wants, because I think that's something as well. If I'm gonna do this YouTube thing full time, I've also got to think about what the audience wants and what works. And there's a few other YouTubers I've spoke to, and I'm not gonna name any names, who have even said they're planning to get back into an M Lite because it makes sense. So it's one of those things you have to really think about, and obviously you can't please people, and it's quite hard to please everyone, but at the end of the day you've got to do what works and what fits, and that's what fits. But enough about me. The second one for you, what would you say the second biggest thing is for you from 2021?
I think the second biggest accomplishment for me, or like notable memory, would be obviously working with some of the content creators like yourself. One of the more memorable moments, and something that was definitely, you know, interesting to me, was working with Schmuck, who probably some people don't know. Schmuck is like one of the media managers for people like WRIGLEY'S, Schmuck 150, Lady Hooligan, and stuff like that. So he, you know, he's a big petrolhead himself. He owns a lovely M240i. He had it. It's not plastered it, but you know what I'm on about.
It's like a spray. Yes,
he had it paintable painted at Topaz in like a lovely M2 CSL livery.
That's right. And
then he had the car shipped back to Germany and had us basically work our magic doing the CS conversion coding. We coded out some lovely BMW Recaro CS Sportster seats, which you had retrimmed to match the car.
Yep.
And then just some CSL light coding and stuff like that. But for me, you know, it was awesome to be involved in a project like that. You know, I met loads of different brands since, people like Manhart, Lee, who create obviously the OPF sensors. You know, I've spoken to Joe Achilles, had a couple chats with Shmi about some stuff with his G80. So yeah, it's been an interesting year for me, and obviously yourself. You know, we've made many a good video, made 100%. a good relationship with you, more of a friendship now rather than a professional one.
100%.
You know, it's been an eye opener for me. I think one thing I wanted to, you know, make obvious to everyone, and you know, because you know me quite well, is that, you know, building a business and a name, it's more about building relationships with people rather than, you know, making money. Of course, making money is part of it, but for me, you know, I like to, like you say, practice what I preach. You know, I don't make recommendations on anything I haven't used or done myself. And yeah, I'm just really, you know, looking to sort of cement my name in the coding scene, and, you know, work with fellow like-minded content creators to, you know, to create like great enthusiast content for people who love cars. And, you know, that's my main goal really. It's trying to make sure your goals and your vision aligns with the brands and partners you work with. It's very easy to obviously take people up on, you know, the various social media followings or brand partnerships they want to create, but it has to really be beneficial for both parties, but it also has to have a lot of alignment. You know, you can't just take everything you're given. You know, otherwise you'd end up with 1 million brands, and, you know, you really want to solidify trust within your followers and clients. That's the main thing. You know, everyone has their set clothes or brands they like, and it's the same with companies. You know, people use their set companies and clients, and, you know, that word of mouth and feedback travels, and that's what's important.
100%. Well, guys, as you can see here on the Apple CarPlay, again sorted by Define Coding, we've done 15 minutes, and the aim of these DriveCasts, and I don't know whether we're going to turn it into something people can listen to on iTunes or on wherever they use their podcast from, but to begin with, we're just going to do it on YouTube, and if it works then we will branch out. But the aim is to keep it nice and snappy, and every other week we're going to have some serious tasty topics, and there are going to be a few broken hearts, I can assume, for those of people that get offended. But I think it's something me and Carl have spoken about for a long time, and Rick, who is very, very close in our circle of friends. It's something that I feel I need to just have a little bit of a voice to discuss things that could be in the comment section. So again, that's what the comment section's there for. If you guys feel that there's something that we can add, or something you want to just have us discuss, let us know. We're definitely keen to have more content on there. But guys, I've got to say a big thank you to Carl for giving me some time out of his day to get this done. And as always, if you've enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. Like I said, leave a comment if you are interested in this sort of stuff, and some ideas for future. But yeah, guys, hope you're having a great weekend, and we'll speak to you or see you in the next one. Take care. God bless.